There is a lot of discussion right now about new $1,400 stimulus checks, and many people want to know who could get them, how likely they are, and what this could mean moving forward. The reason this has become such a hot topic again is because inflation continues to hurt millions of Americans. Prices for everyday essentials like groceries, gas, and medications remain stubbornly high, and even though we are well past the peak of the pandemic, many households still have not recovered financially. Retirees in particular are feeling the pressure because most rely solely on Social Security benefits, which often are not enough to keep up with the rising cost of living. That is why the Senior Citizens League has stepped forward with a proposal for a one-time $1,400 stimulus check for seniors who receive Social Security. Their argument is that these payments would give retirees some much-needed breathing room to cover basic expenses such as food, healthcare, and utilities. At the same time, there are other ideas being floated in Washington. For example, Senator Josh Hawley has proposed $600 tariff rebate checks for American families. His plan would use money generated from tariffs as a way to offset rising costs. However, experts say this idea faces significant challenges, and it is far from certain that it would pass through Congress. There has also been another form of relief targeted towards seniors through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which President Trump signed earlier this year. This law included a $6,000 senior deduction. That tax break could save seniors roughly $1,000. But the catch is that not everyone will qualify, and those who do may not feel the benefit until they file taxes next year. For seniors living on tight monthly budgets, waiting until tax season for relief is not nearly as helpful as a direct stimulus check. The bigger issue at play is how these proposals fit into the larger economic picture. Just last week, the Federal Reserve signaled that it plans to cut interest rates starting in September, likely by 25 basis points at first, with the possibility of more cuts later in the year. Rate cuts tend to be inflationary, and so do stimulus checks. That means combining the two policies at the same time could put even more upward pressure on inflation, which is already high. Experts warn that layering stimulus checks on top of rate cuts would only make the problem worse, potentially creating a cycle where businesses raise prices, consumers struggle to keep up, companies lay off workers, and the economy slows further. This is why many analysts believe the chance of new stimulus checks going out in 2025 is low. Lawmakers do not want to enter the new year with inflation spiking again, especially since January typically sees inflationary pressure rise on its own. In contrast, the months of October through December usually see lower prices because retailers offer heavy discounts during the holiday shopping season and demand for gas and travel tends to drop. The Federal Reserve and Congress are very aware of this timing, which makes them hesitant to introduce anything that could disrupt that seasonal trend. So where does that leave things? Right now, the $600 tariff rebate checks and the $1,400 senior stimulus checks are just proposals. They have not been passed, and they are still in the early planning stages. Nothing has even reached the floor of the House or Senate yet, and President Trump has not formally backed these ideas. At the federal level, the chances of seeing checks go out this year are very slim. However, at the state or local level, there is still some possibility of targeted relief. Some states may look at property tax rebates, early state income tax refunds, or child benefit programs as ways to put money back into people's pockets. Counties or even private organizations may also provide support, similar to the guaranteed income programs that have already been tested in California, where certain residents have received $1,000 a month for extended periods. The bottom line is that while there is a lot of talk about stimulus, most of it is still just that talk. For now, Americans should not expect a new round of federal stimulus checks in 2025. That being said, discussions are happening, and the fact that lawmakers and advocacy groups are even putting these proposals forward means that the door is not completely closed. As the economy shifts and political pressures change, anything could happen in the months ahead. For seniors, families, and anyone struggling with high costs, the conversation is still alive, even if the reality is that relief may not come until 2026 or later.